got the employees thing. Yeah. Sure. Okay, welcome everybody. It's the appointed time, Wednesday, August 26, 2015 for the budget hearing, a public hearing for the 2016 budget. Present today are all three commissioners, Hanson, Rule, Dale. We have Clerk Yamamoto and Zach Wagoner here, along with a lot of other people in the audience. We're going to go ahead and open this up. Is there a sign-in sheet, Monica?
There are. We don't have anyone signed in.
Oh, baby, that's awesome. Okay. Mr. Wagoner, will you, there probably will be somebody that signs in before this is over. So, Mr. Wagoner, do you want to move forward and with the 16's budget?
Yes, or do we want to proceed with the ambulance district first?
We can do the ambulance district first. I don't have an agenda in front of me, so if I'm out of order, I apologize. So, Mr. Hickey, come on up and let's get going on yours. Podium.
Chairman Rule, Commissioners Hanson and Dale, and the public. Good to see you. I'm Rob Hickey. I'm the director for Canyon County Ambulance District, and there are hard copies and also on the screens in front of you and in the back of the room our proposed fiscal year 2016 budget. The A budget is inclusive of reflects a 2% cost of living adjustment, as well as a 5% set aside pending the determination of the wage analysis that's ongoing. We don't expect that we'll see any results of that until later in the fall, first of the year, calendar year. Also, there was changes in the market for benefits and whatnot. We've also created one position for the quality assurance. As we advance and evolve, more of that type of process is required. And we've identified an individual within our department that meets and or exceeds those qualifications. In the B budget, we've been able to find a purchaser for 2 vehicles that did not fit well within our predominantly Ford fleet. They're 2 Chevrolets from 2012, and we're moving forward in that process. That allows us to take that cash purchase and apply it towards another vehicle, and then we have projected that we will purchase 2 more vehicles, so a total of 3 for the year. That's why that lease piece looks a little bit higher than previous year. We're proposing a 5% increase in our fee structure, and that still keeps us below market. The idea being that we would control our fees because of our subsidy. And if you look at our subsidy, we have a new line item that we've not experienced in the past, and it's for all the administrative and non-emergency activities that we request of our dispatch center. And so we've asked for our foregone amount this year, which we've not done historically, but it's to offset that particular fee, which we're not sure what that's going to look like yet. We have some ideas. It's going to be in the neighborhood of $175 to $200,000, somewhere in there. And let's see. Also, we've budgeted for some deployment changes, specifically to add more resources to the street when we speak to peak times and peak requests for service. We are currently on track to have about 200 or 2,000 more calls than we did last year, and that's somewhere in the neighborhood of a 12 to 15% increase for us. And that's just interesting. I hope with the 2 new hospitals that are going in, some of that will stabilize. So we'll see. But at this point, I would certainly open it up to any questions or concerns from the board and or the public.
Commissioner Hanson, any questions for Rob or comments?
The only question I have is just want to verify, this is the same dollar amounts that were in the tentative budget approved by the ambulance district board. So no numbers have changed since that point in time.
Well, I'd like to say yes, but I will throw a caveat out there, Chairman and Commissioners. We were, on our advertisement, we were $10 higher than we were supposed to be. So it's actually reflects correctly that there's a $10 deduction from the actual budget that was advertised.
Okay.
Thank you for that correction.
Good. $10. Is that going to be reflected in our document that we have to, if we do choose to approve this budget?
It is.
We need
Is
to
this
find out.
document accurate in front of
Yes.
us?
That as well as the resolution.
I have the
And the
resolution
L2.
here, right here. Is it 2,274,335? Is that what, am I looking at the right number here?
No, actually,
11,000,000.
that number should be reduced by $10.
Okay.
Is that correct, Zach?
That's correct. It should be 325.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
properly reflected in the L2 that I'll ask you to sign.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Dale?
No question.
Rob, we know how hard it is to start putting budgets together for, you're relatively new to the position, but you've done a great job.
Thank
Looks like you guys are spot on again this year, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
And before you, you should have the L2 to sign, which is marked, as well as the resolution.
And
Thank you.
and this one, just to verify the number marked here, 11,223,515. Is that the right number?
For the expenditure budget,
Well, this is a resolution and it has a number in here. Adopt the budget, district ambulance district budget for the fiscal year 2016 amount of 11,223,515.
yes, that's correct.
That's the right number.
Okay. So before we act on that, it should be noted for the public and those here, when we deal with the ambulance district at this time, we're sitting as the ambulance board and not the Board of Canyon County Commissioners. So we have 2 hats we wear when it comes to budgeting. So this is a completely different budget, a completely different board in that respect. But I think it's been clarified now, and we're probably ready for action on this budget. So there was no public, is there any public testimony on the ambulance district budget? Okay, I don't know, we need to open it if there's none to take, so we can close it at the same time. So
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to close public testimony.
Second.
motion is second, close, all in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, then if you're ready for motion, I'll make the motion that we adopt the resolution setting the tentative ambulance district budget at $11,223,515 for fiscal year 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion with one quick comment.
Comments?
And that's just dealing with Director Hickey's statement that putting into the budget the formula for dispatch fees that are coming forward out of the sheriff's office, and that the ambulance district has followed suit to prepare for that, as we hope all entities will do so in the future with that proposed plan.
All right, good comment. All right. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor, or let's do a roll call vote on these today. Monica?
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Wong?
Yes. All right. We will affix our signatures to that budget, Rob. Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll go back and, are we ready now, Zach, to open a public hearing for our budget?
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you, sir. We're now sitting as the Board of Canyon County Commissioners for the Canyon County budget. There has been a tentative budget published, and everyone's had a chance to do that. Is there, or to look at that, is there anyone here to, that would like to give public testimony regarding this year's Canyon County budget? All right. We'll go ahead and have you do a presentation. If anybody comes in the meantime, we'll give them a chance then, Zach.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Rule. Back in April, we began working on the county budget in earnest, and I would like to thank the elected officials and the department administrators for their efforts, for their work in helping to bring this budget together. It is definitely a team effort. And I would also like to thank the staff in the Commissioner's office for coordinating meetings and publications. Their help is greatly appreciated. And I'd also like to recognize my staff for their work throughout this process and creating new account codes and new funds. Again, there's a lot of hands involved here, and I thank you. I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate the service that you provide to the residents of this county. The 2016 tentative expenditure budget is currently at $78.4 million, and we have a 14-page handout that we'll review tonight that will highlight some of the key points in this budget. $56 million of the budget is for employee compensation. That includes salaries and benefits. That is commonly referred to as our A budget. $22.4 million is set aside for our B budget for our other operating and capital expenditures. It's interesting to note that the 2016 budget is nearly $1 million less than the 2015 budget. Some of the highlights on the salaries and benefits budget include a $4 million amount for employee compensation, retention, and investment in connection with the salary study currently in progress. Also included in the budget is a 2% cost of living adjustment at a budget amount of $900,000. The county's additional contribution to the health insurance fund of $1 million in fiscal year 2015 has not been rolled forward to fiscal year 2016. $725,000 has been included in the budget for new, modified, or previously unfunded positions. On the other operating and capital expenditure side, $1.1 million has been budgeted to finish the remodel of the courthouse. Some of the other major items in the B budget include $700,000 for computer and network equipment, $630,000 for liability insurance, $700,000 for food in the jail, $388,000 for vehicles, and $2.5 million for indigent fund payments. The total tentative operating capital expenditures budget is a decrease of $5.5 million from the B budget in fiscal year 2015. Where does the money come from to ensure these events happen? Our largest source of funding is from property tax. Based on the current tentative budget, 49% of the funding comes from the current property tax levy. 17% of funding comes from intergovernmental revenues. That would include monies we receive from the federal government and the state government, such as sales tax and revenue sharing money. Charges for services provide another 17% of funding for the budget. That would include fees for passports, fees for recording, fees at motor vehicle and driver's license. 14% of the funding comes from fund balance, and the remaining $3 million or 4% comes from permits, licenses, interest, and other miscellaneous revenue. Canyon County's property tax levy authority. Canyon County has the statutory authority to levy $49 million in property tax to support the fiscal year 2016 budget. This amount is calculated in accordance with state law and includes the following: a 3-year look back to identify the highest property tax budget over the past 3 years. That's $38 million. In addition to that, state law allows for a 3% annual increase in the property tax budget. Also, we are allowed a dollar amount for new construction, new growth, and new development that's taken place in the county. And we can also include amounts that have been foregone in prior years. Those would be 3% and new construction increases that we have chosen not to take in prior years. And then you subtract the property tax replacement monies from the state, and we end up with a maximum allowable property tax amount of $49 million. Again, the current tentative property tax dollars levied amount is $38 million. So Canyon County is nearly $11 million under our maximum allowable property tax dollars for fiscal year 2016. Page 5 of the document shows the history of the amount of property tax dollars levied by Canyon County since fiscal year 2009. In fiscal year 2009, we levied just under $38 million. And 7 years later, we're levying just a little over $38 million. And I believe this chart shows our commitment to the taxpayers to keeping taxes as low as possible. Page 6 shows the property tax levy rates from fiscal year 2009 to fiscal year 2016. The property tax levy rate is a combination of two factors. It's a combination of the amount of property tax dollars requested divided by the taxable property value in the county. We're estimating our 2016 levy rate to be 0.004, or a 5% increase from last year's rate of 0.0039. Page 7 shows the budgeted expenditures by function. We've grouped these by culture and recreation, public works, public safety, health and welfare, and general government services. And nearly 50% of the budgeted dollars are allocated to public safety. %38 are budgeted for general government services, 5% for health and welfare, 2% for culture and recreation, and 5% for public works. Page 9 shows in detail by office or department the budget amount for fiscal year 2015 and also the budget amount for fiscal year 2016. There are a few offices or departments that had some significant budget changes from last year. One of those would be the Building and Grounds Department. Their budget is down nearly $3 million from last year. And that's due to some large capital projects, large capital expenditures in the 2015 budget that will be mostly complete by the end of fiscal year 2015. That would include items such as the new roof on the courthouse and the demolition and remodel of the courthouse. On page 11 of the handout, we have a new fund and a new line item in the budget in 2016 for employee retention and investment. And that is an amount of $4 million that's been set aside to invest in our employees based on the results of the salary study currently underway. The general department is a decrease of nearly $800,000. That is due to a reduction in the amount budgeted for any contingencies or unanticipated events. In prior years, we budgeted $1 million for any unanticipated events. Thankfully, we haven't needed that money in the past, and we reduced that budget amount down to $250,000 for fiscal year 2016. The indigent budget has been reduced by $1 million. We've seen a decrease in our indigent expenditures over the past few years, and we're hopeful that $3.1 million will be sufficient for indigent expenditures in 2016. Page 13 shows the bottom line, the grand total, $78.4 million, nearly $1 million less than last year's budget. Page 14 shows the budgeted amounts and the revenues and the property tax dollars levied by fund. The county operates roughly 20 governmental funds, and also included here is our landfill enterprise fund as well. And it's separated into two areas. At the bottom of the page, there are two special taxing districts, and those two taxing districts are presented separately because not every taxpayer in the county pays property tax to the pest control or the Melba Gopher District. So they are presented separately from the other county operating funds.
Does that complete your presentation, Zach?
That does complete my presentation, yes.
All right, thank you. Any questions, commissioners, for Zach on the presentation?
I just have one clarification, if it's all right. On page 2, could you help me out here? Down on the bottom, the second bullet from the bottom, it says included in the budget is $700,000 for computer and on, and then it says $2.5 million for indigent fund payments, but our total on page 7 is $3.169. So help me out with that difference. What is that?
The difference of $600,000?
Well, yeah, between the 2.5 million that you state on page 2 and page 7, that total number up there.
The 2.5 million on page 2 is the B budget side of indigent. So it does not include any salaries and benefits for the personnel in the indigent fund.
Okay, that's enough. Yeah, I get it. I agree.
Commissioner Hanson?
The only thing that I would make mention of, last year, we had contributed into the health insurance fund an amount of money because there was a transition process and there were some things to move from one company to another, that there were some costs incurred that we need to pay for. That fund, at last report I had from Zach Wagner. And if it's changed, I haven't heard that, but we have improved in that fund. Not that I'm saying it's self-sustaining, but we still don't have a full year's worth of data after we've changed. And so in the determination to not put any funds toward that right now, we need to establish what that fund is actually doing now that we've changed companies to provide health insurance. So that's the reason for, one of the reasons anyway, and the main one for me, why there is no increase in funding for that at this point in time for this budget, this fiscal year. And secondly, as the agenda has already stated and been stated for this board, that we wanted to increase employee compensation based upon a accurate professional study done. And the $4 million line item that is placed into this budget is to address that and to make sure that those funds are available. And along with that statement is the fact that there is a slight levy increase. And that is because if you pay more money to employees based upon longevity or the salary study, you have to be able to sustain that as well. That involves potentially more dollars, so a significant factor to consider in that process. That's statements that I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Hanson. Zach, I only have one question. From the tentative budget discussion and publication, have there been any changes at all in totals or funding for any of those, any particular budget line?
No changes.
Okay. Well, with that clarification, commissioners, I think I'll, do you have any other comments or?
I have
Well, I again, just want to reiterate, I don't see a lot of the public here today. There may be a few, and I'm glad you're here if you are, but most of the faces I recognize are county faces, and you all know how much work goes into trying to get to this point so we can carry out yet another fiscal year. So I want to thank all those department heads, elected officials, clerk, and controller for all the work they've done on this year's budget. Okay, I'll check again. Is there any one here that would like to address the board in public testimony? Well, again, we're back to.
Seeing no one move forward, Mr. Chairman, I'd move we close the public testimony portion.
I will second that.
Motion is second, roll call.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Rule?
Yes. Boy, and in walks Mr. Gross. So
Don't leave.
we just closed public testimony from, but you know, if you came to address the board, we can open it back up. Okay, very good.
Mr. Chair, with that said, we've reviewed this budget. We've worked hard over its compilation as well as with Comptroller Wagner, and appreciate that. So with that said, I'm going to make a motion that the Board of County Commissioners sign the resolution to approve this budget of $78,458,357, as well as the other amounts in there for the pest control and Nova Gopher.
I'll second that motion.
Motion is second to approve the amount read into the record. Roll call, Monica?
Mr. Dale?
I'll vote yes, and I'd just like to make a comment as well before we move on with vote. I want to thank all the department heads, the elected officials and their supervisors who have been very patient working on this budget. There's a lot of patience exhibited throughout the county. It's been a pleasure to work with you on this budget. And I'll just make the one statement that I think this does show, it shows that we are committed to taking care of our people. I think that's been my number one issue throughout this whole discussion. And I appreciate that we're able to do that. Next year will be another challenge on some of the issues, the healthcare particularly perhaps, but we'll deal with that when we get there. So thank you.
Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Rule?
Since how I voted no on the tentative budget, I'll vote no on this operating budget as well. So the budget passes 2-1, and we will sign and affix that budget accordingly. Unless somebody has some other item of business that needs to be taken care of here.
One more thing.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. We need to address that. Thanks. Commissioner.
And we're just looking at employee days. We look at the calendar and determine what's going to happen throughout the year. And so with that said, this was an appropriate time to at least present that since we're dealing with the budget and the expenditures. But we're looking at additional appreciation days to the employees, the day after Thanksgiving, Friday, November 27th. That will be as far as we're concerned, everything that we can close in the county will be closed. I know that's going to be based on certain departments and things that might have to for a 365 basis, 24/7. So that's the last thing I have.
Thanks, Commissioner. Anybody have any questions on that item? Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and that will complete the 2/16 budget hearing. Do we all?
Yeah, we got to send the two results.